Hello, and welcome, my friends, to the next video in the Create Better Content series, where I show you how to tap into your creativity so that you can stay consistent with your marketing and reach more customers. My name is Penny, and I'm going to be your guide through this content development process. I want to teach you how to create engaging content to post, remarkable content to share on your sales pages, and just amazing content that you want to share in your email messages. All of those things combined to help you reach more customers. And if you want to learn more about creativity and how this can help you develop your content marketing plans, I would love to see you hit that button below and subscribe to this channel. And below in the description box, you are going to see some links. The first link that you'll see is for the Content Calendar Blueprint program. This is an email-based training. It's like a comprehensive guide. It's more than just how to set up your content calendar. It's actually going to show you how to develop a content strategy and what you should be putting into it, the content ideas that you can actually put into the content calendar to help you reach more customers. And another link that you're going to see is so that you can subscribe to the Marketing Strategy Collective program. We get together on Patreon. We also do Zoom monthly calls, and you can personally go through this process with other supportive small business owners and marketing managers, so you don't feel like you're having to do all of this by yourself. So you see the links below, and you know what to do to learn more. All right, let's get into today's video. So today we're going to be talking about storytelling, but I don't want to just talk about specifically storytelling. I want to get really deep dive into storytelling in your emails, because storytelling in emails is a really great space for you to really share those marketing messages. I'm not talking about writing like the great American novel in your emails. I'm talking more about using simple stories, the things that make your emails feel more human, more helpful, and in a way that people don't feel like they're just being sold to all the time. So if we think about it, how we can make more sales, how we can convert more people, a lot of this is based in our email marketing. So let's get into this today. So whether you are just getting started with your email list, or you've got a list of people that are kind of opening, but maybe not always clicking on stuff, kind of ghosting you a little bit, maybe this approach about storytelling in your emails are going to be more effective to get more opens, to get more people to click on your links, and to get more people to engage and take action with your emails. So let's talk through this about why storytelling even matters in email marketing. Because when somebody opens your emails, I'm going to put money on it that they're not sitting there looking at your email going, I hope she's going to give me a sales pitch. No, they're not thinking that. And they're certainly not thinking, I hope that I open this up and I'm going to get 10% off of something today. No, they're scanning their inbox. They're looking for something that feels relevant to them. They're wanting to read something that's interesting, that's valuable, something that gets them, something that's going to help them. And that's what this well-told story can do in your emails. It's going to help grab attention. It's going to be relatable. It's going to connect with them on an emotional level. And when that happens, it builds trust. It builds trust with them to think that they understand, that you see them, that you understand them. And then when they feel that way, it naturally leads into sales. It naturally leads them looking at your offer. It naturally leads them clicking on your sales page and your landing page. And you can do all of this without sounding like, you're all salesy and like some sort of weird car salesman standing on the side of the road. Because here's the thing about stories. They're so much more easier to remember than a bullet list of facts or benefits or features about our products. And they're also more likely to stick with somebody when it's time for them to buy. So instead of saying something like, oh, buy my thing because it's so great, you're using a story to say, let me tell you about someone who had a problem like yours. And here's what happened next. And when you share it like that, and when the sales promotion gets shared more like that, that is when the shift starts to happen. That is when people think more along the lines of, okay, what does she have to say? Let me hear more about this story. So there is a really simple email story structure that's in place for marketing. So let's break this down so I can tell you how you can really start to utilize storytelling in your emails that are going to lead to more conversions. And I want you to know this going into this, that doing your email marketing doesn't mean that you have to be a professional copywriter. It doesn't mean that you have to be writing, like the great American novel and that's what that's going to get people to buy. What you really need to do is a story that your customers can see themselves in. And they see themselves into it, that they take inspiration and then they take action. And that is the goal of it. It's not about being the best writer in the world. It's not about, writing the next War and Peace novel. It has everything to do with the idea of people seeing themselves in the story and allowing them to take action. So let's go through this email storytelling structure. And this works with any type of email that you use and any type of business too. This isn't just for coaches, or this isn't just for people who have, a brick and mortar store. It's for everybody, because what we can do is we can weave our stories into this structure. So the first part of it is the hook. It starts with, it's the moment. It sets the stage, right? So we think about a memory or a moment that's going to create curiosity, as opposed to, hey everybody, I'm in your inbox today. But if we said something more like, this past Tuesday, I was staring at my screen for like 45 minutes trying to write a subject line and trying to share something with you that didn't make me want to cringe. That's a lot better than saying, hey, I'm in your inbox this morning. It's just like a little opener line. It's the hook that pulls the reader into the moment and wants them to read more, because they're like, oh, a subject line that didn't make me cringe. What's that all about? So when you can start your email kind of like you're dropping somebody in the middle of a scene, you don't need to say, hi, I hope you're doing well. I'm in your inbox today. You kind of skip all the small talk and go straight to something that's going to make them go, wait a minute, what just happened? What didn't make you cringe? Tell me more. That's what we're trying to do with the hook. That's what we're going to do to pull them in. We're going to try to get them to keep, not just open the email, but to keep reading it and to get them to take action. And that opening could be something, weird or funny or frustrating moment in your business, like a mistake you made or something that you learned from, something a client that said that stopped you in your tracks, or an everyday observation, something that happened to you that when I looked out the window or when I was walking my dog, and it connects to a bigger idea. So let me give you some examples here. Okay, so let's go back to that line that I was talking about, the cringe thing. You could say something like, you write that sentence about, it took me a line. It says, I once wrote an entire email with a typo in the subject line, and it got my highest open rate of the year. That's a really good lesson that somebody could learn from, but why did that happen? Tell me more. Let me see here. Let me think of another one. I was sitting in my car eating some French fries that I wasn't even hungry for and thinking about deleting my entire email list. It's a tiny little moment, but I set the stage. I dropped you into that scene. I'm sitting in my car. I'm eating fries. I'm not even hungry, which means that I'm stress eating. And I'm thinking about deleting my entire email list. Wow. That's a great sign. That's a hook. That is something that's going to pull people in emotionally or curiosity. So when you think about this, don't overthink it. Just open with a real moment, a real thing that happens. Because, when we talk about things like this, when we tell stories to our friends, we just tell stories. I was sitting in my car. I was eating my fries. I was probably stress eating because I'm not even hungry. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to delete my entire email list. Just open with a real moment, a real thing that somebody could lean in and want to know more because now their curiosity is up. So now our second step that we do in this framework is something that they call the turn. where we share our struggle or the realization. This is where we show, how vulnerable we are. This is where we talk about this relatable problem. And you want them to think to themselves, yeah, that's me, that's me. I see myself in it. This is where you are going to connect to them. And you show them that they're not alone. And that you're telling this like little mini story, like micro story of a challenge or an insight or something that leads to, what this message is all about. You're not introducing the offer, or you're not trying to sell them anything. You just stay with the emotion, and the thought process, and you just keep moving forward. So let's keep on with our little story here. So I was struggling with the line, and then I was sitting in my car eating French fries because I'm stress eating, and I'm thinking I might even just delete my whole email list. And then I started. So now I'm at the turn, right? So I could keep adding on to it, going. I realized I was doing what so many of my clients do. I'm second guessing myself into inaction. And I kept thinking, why do I make writing emails so complicated? Why does it feel like it takes forever every single time that I sit down and I write this? And how do I even know that they even want to know about this stuff? So this is me, giving you all this information. I'm feeding into the emotions. I'm feeding more into all of, why this mess, the challenge, the insight. I want people to think, yes, that's me. I feel like that. I've said that to myself. Oh my goodness, I said that out loud to myself last week. And so this is the turn here where I can say something like, let's see here. I had all the tools, all the information, and yet I still couldn't hit send. And that's when I realized it wasn't so much of a strategy problem. It was a confidence problem. So this is the part that feels like you're having a coffee conversation. Like you sat down with a friend and you're being honest and you're talking about, it wasn't strategy, it was confidence. Everything was so complicated. Why am I feeling like this? And you've opened up this scene and you've got this deeper layer here. You're going into the struggle, the emotion, the realization in the moment. The realization was, here's all these tools and I've got all this information. I should know this stuff. I should know the strategy stuff. It's not that. It was confidence in how I was feeling about this, my email list, and what I was saying to them. So I'm bringing you into this. I'm still not selling, but I'm bringing you into the whole story. And I'm still, talking about this. And so we go to the next layer, which is the shift. What changed? And this is the place where we start to introduce the solution. What new insight or approach helped? It's like a turning point. This happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then there was a mindset shift, or there was a this shift. You set up the challenge, you set up the emotion, and now the thing has changed. The aha moment, the solution that you uncovered. This is the part that shows, your insight, your growth, your wins. And it paves the way for you to start to introduce your service or your product quite naturally. Because you're no longer saying, hey, I got this really cool thing, buy from me. You set the stage. You've talked about your struggle. You talked about your emotion. You started talking about, what was going on and where you realized that things were happening. And now the shift happens. And this is when I started using story writing. Yeah, let's say story writing prompts. I stopped trying to write the perfect email message and just started writing my stories. Started sharing real truths. So I sent a short story about one of my clients instead of a list of all of the features that I normally would have sent to my email list. And just by sharing this one short story about one of my clients, I got 5 messages for discovery calls. So instead of trying to sound all clever and salesy, I started with a story. I shared a story like I was talking to a friend about a client. And then suddenly, people started taking action and actually responded to learning more about what of the information that I shared in my emails. And see, now this part right here is really the key part, because it tells that person who's reading your email, you are not stuck. There is a better way, and I'm showing you how, because this is what just happened to me, and this is what, I went through all of this, I felt through all of this, I'm sharing with you this deeper level, and now I've had a shift, And this is what happened. I realized it was my confidence and I needed to make these changes. And my confidence told me it's not about doing the perfect emails. It was about sharing my stories and being real and being human and finding a way for the people who were reading my emails to connect with me and want to learn more. And it did make them want to learn more, because now I've got 5 new discovery calls. So that's the piece that we want to keep in mind as we're moving through this whole process. Which then would leave us to the next step, a natural progression into the next step of the offer and inviting them to take action. Because at this point, you've built the connection. You've shown the transformation. Now you have the opportunity where your call to action just naturally fits in. It feels organic. It's not feeling like you're just shoving it in there going, oh yeah, here I'm selling something. You can just put it in there because now you have built up the story. You've talked about the transformation. You've talked about the shift that happens. You shared the struggle. And now your offer isn't so much like out of left field. It feels more like it's a natural next step. It's you have basically earned the right to invite them to take action, because now you've built this connection with them first. And the action doesn't feel all salesy. It feels like it's more supportive. It feels like you've been here. I know, I see you. I hear you. I understand you. Here's what you can do. So the examples would be, as we're moving through this process, to continue on with my story, I could say, if this sounds like where you are, I've created a toolkit of story prompts that you can swipe for your next email and you can grab it here. Or I could say something like, I got monthly story-based email templates to help you write faster and convert more without overthinking. That kind of stuff. So we can use it to use the story as the struggle, and that your service, your product, your offer is the solution. So it makes it where you're linking your program, even if it's just a freebie, and your workshop, it fits because it matches the story that you just told. It fits and it makes sense for it to be the natural progression of what you're sharing, because you just told this story, you just gave them a solution, and now you're telling them what your business can do to support that solution. So it's like story plus lesson plus offer. It's no hard selling. It's not pushing. It's just connection and insight and a helpful next step. So if you think about it from that place, it becomes an organic opportunity for you to start converting more people in your emails by using stories. And let me just give you a little helpful storytelling tip. For those of you who are going to start using this type of content in your email marketing, I would highly recommend creating something and setting up something like a story bank. So you don't have to wait for some dramatic event or some weird thing or some story to come to you as you're signing up, you're working on your emails. Think about building a simple story bank. So anytime that something happens to you, jot these down when it happens. And I mean like anything that happens, like everyday moments. And if everyday moments in your head are thinking about how it connects to a marketing lessons. Thinking about writing down things like the wins that your clients have, whether they're big or small, or something that they've said, or a comment that they made, or an email that you got, mistakes that you've made, and something that you've learned from it. That's a great place to start building your stories. Common struggles that you hear, things that you see when you're posting up stuff on social media, and people are putting things in the comment, and you see people writing this in the comment all the time. Is there something that you can create a story around that? Obviously funny, awkward, weird things that happen to us, and how we can relate them back to our customers. Because remember, this isn't about you. This isn't so much about your story. It's the story of how your business is helping your clients. The story itself may be something that specifically happened to you, but the actual story itself is about how you're helping your clients. So think about that, creating like a story bank that you can pull from. So anytime you're ready to write your next email, you've got some stories there listed, so you can plug them into the structure that I just covered of going through those 5 different steps. Because here's the thing about this. Storytelling in your emails is about helping you connect. And when you can create that connection and you can show that transformation and you can do it in a way that doesn't feel like a hard sell, it allows you to convert more customers. Because, and here's the thing, think about this. It's not about being the best copywriter, because it's just about a story that becomes relatable. And it's a story where people can see themselves in. So use that hook, struggle, shift, offer, format. And that's how you're going to create powerful emails. Because when you start using storytelling in your marketing, especially in your emails, people will start looking forward to hearing from you because they want to know more. They want to know more about the story. They want to know more about what's going on with you and your business. And then when they start to do that, when they start to open your emails more and they start to read them and they start to resonate with them, they begin to trust you more because they feel more like you're being on their side, on their team, and they're more likely to buy from you. So if today's episode really helped you to rethink how you send emails, I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel because I'm going to keep on sharing more and more content, marketing information to help you become more real, more human first content, and more marketing that's going to help you connect with more people. And if you are ready to go deeper into writing emails that just feel good and get more results, then please come join us in the Marketing Strategy Collective on Patreon. You know, the links are below for you to get more details. So thank you so much for joining me today on this creative journey. If you have enjoyed this content about content development, I hope you'll hit the share button and let's keep this conversation going. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe because you don't want to miss next week's video. And that the more people that subscribe, the more people know that my content is out there so I can start to help even more small business owners. And if you want to go deeper, I would love to see you join us in the Marketing Strategy Collective. This is where we take all of these concepts and turn them into action. There's monthly strategy workbooks, creative brainstorming tools, a community of smart, kind business owners who want to market themselves differently. And we're going to show you that you don't have to work in a solo bubble and you can work in a collaborative space to get the help with your marketing efforts. You see the links below. You know what to do to learn more, to get the marketing you need to see real growth in your business. Because you are magnificent, my friend. And let me be the first to say, I'm proud of you. Until next time.